Hello, everyone. My name is Emobosa Onerime, and I am the Customer Success Manager at WebWork Tools Limited. This video is aimed at letting you know exactly how to use Supply Captain. For this course, we're going to be implementing Supply Captain for a fast food company. More like a restaurant or so. But in our example today, we're going to be referring to fast food. And this is a fresh installation of Supply Captain. This is what you see the very first time you open Supply Captain. So let's get down to it. To use Supply Captain, the first thing you have to do is set up your users. Okay, if we check now, you find that we don't have any users. And if you don't set up users, you really cannot get anything done. So we're going to set up our first user. So our first user is going to be, let's see, okay, let's use my name. Let's use our official number. And then for an email address, because of the way the system works, the user's email must be the email of the account. So we're going to use this account email here, which is apps@ripple.webworktools.com. So we'll have apps@ripple.webworktools.com. Then we're going to pick the username, which is wwt.ripple. Not every user must select the username. You mustn't select the username for every user. You can just focus on the specific use case, which is if the user is a reviewer, you use the username. But if the user is just going to be a store manager or a general user of the application, you do not need to provide the username. Okay, so now if you continue, you see location, stations, stores, and kitchens. This allows you to limit this user further. For the sake of this demonstration, we're not going to be doing limiting as such. So I'm going to add our first user. So now that we've added the user, this user is a tier 1 user. What it means is that the user has access to everything. But if a user is given access to just one or two things here, then the user will be limited accordingly. You can have access to one location, one station in that location, one or more stores, and one or more kitchens. So we're going to go down to locations because that's the first thing we have to add about the business. For the sake of this demo, we don't have a logo, but if you have a logo for your business, you're going to have to upload it here so that the documents that come with this application or with this product will be represented in your business. Wow, so what's the name of our location? We usually recommend that the name of your location is close to the name of the business, or maybe the name of the business. So what we're actually going to do is that we're going to call this business ABC Foods Limited. We say that this is at the headquarters and it's in the head office. So it's a head office location. And for this ABC Foods, we're going to be using a particular address that doesn't exist. And that address is 123 Rumola Road. Okay, so we're going to put Port Harcourt here. We're going to put Rivers. And for Rumola Road, I think the zip code is 50102. Okay, great. Purchasing webhook is something technical and it's not for this video. Now, purchase order number prefix is the prefix used for the purchase order number to automatically generate purchase orders. So it's going to be like PO10001SC, separated by hyphens. So you can customize this number, you can customize the prefix or suffix, or even remove the prefix or suffix, but the number is compulsory. So that if you are going to be auto-generating, purchase orders, it's going to use this to generate the purchase order numbers for you. So we're going to add our first location. So let's take a look at it. So this is the HQ location, and this is what the location would look like typically. So now we're going to add some other locations. You can either add things from the left menu here, or you can add with the plus sign up here. Or if the place is empty just like this, you'll be able to add the records accordingly. Okay? So let's focus on adding the other locations. Let's focus on adding the other locations. One moment. Okay, so we're adding another location right now. And that location is not going to be HQ again. The location is going to be Annex. So the Annex location is still in Port Harcourt. So we're putting ABC Foods Limited Annex. And we're imagining that this is the lounge. So this business has a lounge where people come and eat, food in the lounge. Okay. So you have the address here. It's 123 Equerry Road. Okay, Port Harcourt, Rivers. And then the postal code for Equerry Road 500262, Nigeria. So again, we don't need processing webhook. It's for a third-party application when necessary. And in adding locations, you have to be careful. You see, in this PO number, yeah, you see that the suffix is always appearing to be the same. When you're adding locations, you need to make sure that one part of this or some part of this is different. Otherwise, you're going to have indexing issues. At some point, you won't be able to generate others. So if we leave this PO up here, we are going to need to call this A and let's call it ANX. Let's call it annex. And then the other one, I want us to call it HQ. Excellent. Okay. So yeah, this does so the numbers can never be the same. Okay. Now we have annex and HQ. We can add other locations. But I guess we're going to want to save time. So let's just focus on these two locations. Okay. So for these two locations now, we're going to add stations for the two locations. And the stations we're going to be adding would be, so the HQ is going to have like the HQ station and the extension, which is the warehouse. Okay. So the HQ station, the ABC HQ is going to be where you're going to just have all the stores. And then the warehouse will be where there's just one major warehouse. So I'm going to let you know how this is going to work. So now this is ABC HQ. So ABC HQ is basically the ABC stores. Okay. So we're going to put a little bit of a description here. Okay, and the location for this is ABC Foods Limited HQ. Now, we have what is called internal requisition reviewer. This is the reviewer of requisitions between the same stations. So if you are sending items among stores in the same station, it's an internal requisition. But if you are sending items to different stations, it's an external requisition. So these are the reviewers. I just have myself, and I'm going to hurry through this because we have basically about 20 minutes to get this over with. Now, the store manager is the person who is going to be getting notifications of everything, orders and all that, what's going on in the store. While you have the flag reviewer, which is the person who's going to be dealing with, the audited inventory and making corrections, especially when there are excess and short items. So now this is about migration. Migration is not for this video. This video just tells you how to use the solution. So I'm going to now add this station. Now, to create your indulgence, we're just going to make some repetitions because we're working with the HQ and the annex. Okay, so for the HQ again, we're adding another station, which is basically the ABC extension. And for the ABC extension, it's basically the ABC warehouse. So now, for this is still the HQ. Then we have, we'll just continue with our setup and add. Okay. So now we have done two stations in the same location. So we're going to create one more station, which is the annex. Okay. So we're creating a station for the annex location. So we're going to call this ABC Annex, and we're going to designate it as the ABC Lounge in Rivers State. Okay. So we're going to choose ABC Limited Annex, ABC Foods Limited Annex. Choose our reviewers here. And then add. So we have our three stations good to go. So now we have stores. Now we need to add stores. So stores can be tricky, and I'll tell you why. For stores, you have to make sure that they are unique in their name. So we're going to add 4 stores, and those 4 stores are going to be added for the HQ, the extension, and the annex. So we're going to try to do this really fast so that we can get out of here. Okay. So we have the ABC HQ, dry store. A description is not so compulsory, and this is for the HQ. Now, in order to be fast, we just use the plus sign. So we have ABC HQ. So we have dry, frozen, drinks, and boxed. Okay. So we've done dry. Let's do frozen. Let's do drinks. And let's do boxed. Okay, so we're then going to also do for ABC extension. I'm going to copy this to say dry. We're going to say frozen. say drinks. And we're going to say boxed. These are the items that are in boxes relatively. Then the final one, which is the annex. So we're going to say ABC annex. We're going to copy this and I say dry. ABC annex. Frozen. Then ABC annex. Drinks. Then ABC annex. Boxed. Ta-da! So we have our 12 stores ready to run. So now we're going to have to create kitchens. Now you'll be wondering, what kind of kitchens can we have? Okay, so there are different kinds of kitchens in a food business. And we're going to also use our ABC structure to set up those kitchens. But there's something we need to understand. Kitchens are in places where consumption happens. Now, consumption will not happen in the warehouse. Yeah? Consumption will not happen in the stores where things are stored. Consumption is going to happen only in the lounge. So we're going to be using ABC Annex to create the kitchens. Okay. So we're going to go to kitchen and then we will say ABC Annex butchery. Okay. So that helps us to set up the butchery. So the butchery is the place where you cut your chickens and all of that. Yeah. So that's a type of kitchen. Then you have the, let's just call it the pudding kitchen, where you actually cook food, rice, beans, stuff like that. We'll just call it pudding. Now, again, is the annex. And then we have the pastries kitchen. So this is the third kitchen, and it's also just in the annex. You might have a bigger business than this, but this is just for demonstration purposes. So now we're going to add suppliers. Now, for the sake of this demo, we're not going to add so many suppliers. We're just going to add, let's see, we're going to add, we had the annex. Okay, so this is in Port Harcourt, yeah? Okay, so we're just going to add one supplier. And that is going to be CBA Farm Limited. And CBA Farm Limited belongs to Richard Rowe. So we're going to add Richard Rowe's details. We'll say Richard Rowe. We're going to add his phone number here. And we're going to say richard@rowe.com. Now, what is Richard Rowe's address? Richard Rowe stays at number 321 Abba Road, or his shop is at number 321 Abba Road. Okay, so we have 321 Abba Road, we have Port Harcourt, River State, and then his postal code is 500101. So he's in Nigeria. Now his order terms 90 days, default delivery days is 7, and then we have the ability to add him. In fact, this delivery days is is basically much, in my opinion, for somebody who is supplying food. So I'm just going to set the delivery days to 2 days. Okay. And then other terms, maybe we'll leave it that way. Ta-da! So we have our supplier CBA Farm Limited. Okay. Now we're going to go to the next thing, which is the inventory. And the first thing we're going to do is to set up sections. Now, sections are parts of stores where items are kept in order to distinguish them, maybe for storage purposes. So we have perishables. That's one section. For another section, we have non-perishables. Okay. And then for the last section, we're going to work with, we have fragile. Okay. So fragile items have been added. Then we're going to go to units. Now we need to add units. And for the sake of this demo, we're not going to be doing so much. We're just going to be adding, let's see, let's add rice and no, let's add the units for rice and yeah, maybe frozen chicken. We'll just focus on that for now. Okay. So for rice, rice is measured in kg. So you have 10 kg rice, and the weight is 10. You have 50 kg rice. We're going to change it to 50, and the weight is 50. And then we have kg for measuring the weight of, the frozen chicken. Ta-da! So we're done with this. So now the next thing we need to do is to, now let me show you the units. There they are. Now the next thing we need to do is to add the global items. You see item type here, so you have to just add it accordingly. Okay. So the first thing we're adding here now is the AA brown rice. Okay. AA brown rice, we're adding the, let me see. Okay, let's add 50 kg and 10 kg. So for AA brown rice, 50 kg and 10 kg. Now this is raw. Now the unit is 50 kg. Now when you're adding this, you need to specify this there, 50 kg, so that it's easy to know the type of rice you're expecting. Now for 50 kg rice, from our research, we could see that it could be up to 80,000. So we're going to put estimated price at 80,000 naira. Okay, then we have a warning quantity, one expiry date, first in, first out. So we're adding this. So we've done our 50 kg rice. We're then going to add the same AA brown rice, but this time we're going to add 10 kg. Okay, now this is raw, and then we'll go to 10 kg. And then for the 10 kg, we did some research and saw that it could be up to 32,000. We might be wrong, but this is demo purpose. So we have our settings. Good. Now let's do our first thing that we used to do. So then we're going to add frozen chicken. Now frozen chicken doesn't have any brand. Let's just call it frozen chicken. Now this case is if it was frozen, it's a bit perishable because it has to remain frozen. Okay, so we're going to put this in kg, and we're going to look at small research on how much per kg could it be. So we'll put 15,450 here. We're just saying we might be wrong. The highest price. So this is it for frozen chicken. You know, you can also say per kg here. You can do this. When you do this, it guides whoever is setting quantities in placing orders on what exactly to do. So with our little time left, we're going to quickly place an order for the rice and the chicken in the HQ, and then we're going to send some of it to the annex. And maybe we're going to eat some. Who knows? So we'll go to purchasing, we'll add a requisition, and then we'll say first time stocking as the subject of the requisition. So we want to get brown rice, we want 20 bags. You can put a comment here, check for spoils. You come here, you choose brown rice 10 kg. Okay, check the bag for wear and tear. Maybe this is what I want the people who are giving me this to do because they're going to buy it. Okay, then frozen chicken. Now this is kg. So I want frozen chicken of maybe 2 kg. And I'll say make sure it's still frozen. Okay. So the issuing station, because I'm purchasing, the issuing station is going to be the HQ, and I'm purchasing to the HQ. So this is to the HQ I'm purchasing. So I'm going to add this requisition. Now it's going to send me a notification to approve, which comes here like this. But the fastest way to approve is to come through admin, and then I click on the item. I see what is being purchased. I see the comments, and then I click approve, and I can say noted. So now I have completed the first task for purchasing. After doing this, I'm going to be able to see my requisition. I'll also be able to come here and print my requisition waybill. So it shows me where it's purchased from and the destination and quantity. So I can go ahead in any of the requisition lists to just generate my order. So it's going to say, oh, this is approved now, and it's going to say the order is generated to the store manager, and then it's generated as requested. Now you can change these comments, but this is just to make things fast. So now we're going to work on this order because we're going to have to choose a supplier. And we have our supplier here, CBA Farm. We see his order terms 90 days, and we're just going to update. Now, for us to get a bill generated, we just need to right click and say generate bill. And then it will generate the bill with the items that were purchased, that were requested. And this is going to be actually the purchase order that will go to the supplier. So it's going to have like the logo, and then the supplier will need to go and bring these items. Okay. So now that this has been done, you can record payments if you want to, but we're going to receive the supply when the supplier brings the items. So we'll come here and say this supply station. It has already chosen the station automatically because there's IntelliSense. I choose the requisition. Then I choose the supplier bill. It's going to bring up details about the supplier. I have to check for the risk. It's important. So I'll know whether I should stop. Now, the item I ordered, what type of item is this? This is, I'm going to receive the rice first. The rice is a dry item. And the dry item is going to non-perishables. Okay, and I'm going to have to generate my own item reference if it doesn't have a barcode. But if it has a barcode, I'm going to have to use a scanner to scan this. So to generate a reference, I'm just going to say 001. Okay. So expiry date of the rights is going to be available. I was expecting 90 days. So I'm going to go June, July, August, and I'm going to go August 31st. Okay. Then I'm bringing in the 50 kg rice. Okay, and we needed 20 of the 50 kg rice. Okay, so we have added the supply, as you can see. We have put the quantity for the 50 kg rice. And the way we added the supply was that let me get to that screen. We came here and we just clicked the add button. So you didn't miss out on anything. It's just that in the first 30 minutes of our recording, that was what happened. We exhausted the time, so we have to do this every 30 minutes. Okay, so now that we've added the supply, we're going to now check and ensure that the supply is in store. Good, the supply is in store. That means the quantity was in order, the price was in order, everything was good. So we have our 1.6 million product has arrived. Okay, so now that the product has arrived, we can go ahead and try to pay the supplier. Okay, so to pay the supplier, we'll just come to add payments. We'll go to bill. Of course, we'll make sure that we've actually sent the money. Wait, hang on. No, the supplier has not brought everything. So the supplier has just brought the 1.6, right? You see? So this is the reason why there are payment terms. Well, if we want to pay for the 1.6, we can just come here and add payment, choose the bill, and then add payment for 1.6 and put the date. So let's even try to do that now. So the date is today's date. They pay for 1.6. Now, please note that supplier risk is measured by number of order days, like 90 days and all that. So this supplier is going to have some risk added. But because of this demo, I have to show you how this works. So I'm not saying you should quickly start recording payments for suppliers that you were supposed to pay in 90 days. If you want to change their payment terms, you ought to have done that when you're agreeing with them. So it's important that you don't disenfranchise your suppliers. So we're going to click add now, and then it records the payment of 1.6 million for this supplier. But please make sure you have actually paid the money. So when we come here now, we have the ability to make the other payments. Once you click this bill, it's going to show you the remaining amount of money, which is 350,900. And if we come to the bill here, we can see clearly that that is basically what is left, 350,900. Okay, so now we have received those first items. Let's receive the other items from the supplier as well. So the supplier was supposed to bring what else? Let's say the supplier was supposed to bring, see, it added a risk because we violated. Okay, so don't worry about this. So don't violate your suppliers. Make sure you pay them at the agreed time so they don't have a risk score that hits them. So again, there was rice that we wanted to purchase. That is why you must always have the requisition way bill if you are doing issuing, or the bill, which is the purchase order, if you are doing purchases, so that you can follow that and use that to understand what items you are expecting to add. So here you have 10 and 2, so 2 kilograms. You have 10 bags of brown rice. So now that we know, we're going to come here now and we're going to say first time stocking, supplier bill. This is okay. Then we're going to say 123, 100, and we're going to say 002. Okay, the expiry dates. Okay, let's use June, July, August. Let's use the same August 31st. Let's just keep using that. Then we have the 10 kg. Now for the 10 kg, let's say we received only 8 bags. So it's going to pose a shortage. You see why it's good to pay your suppliers later? Because they might deliver and deliver wrongly. So now there are only 8 items delivered. So we record the 8 items, but it's not going to come to store. It's going to show you shortage. So what you're going to have to do now is to register a flag with this supply. So we're going to register a flag, shortage flag of 2 items, and we're going to say bags were opened. Okay. So when we say bags were opened, we have like the flag date and time is already set. We can set it as some other time. Then it's going to automatically push an approval request. So you can come to your administration area, look at what happened, bags were opened, and get worried about it, make decisions. And let's say you approve it and say, okay, give them back to the supplier. So that's my comment. So it's always going to be available for me to see, what I said. So I can come here and see my approval on the comment that I made, give them back to the supplier. And this is good for audit purposes. Okay, so now that the flag has been approved, the thing that the store team have to do, as they have also been notified that the flag has been approved, they would then need to come here and just edit the supplier again. So they will come here, edit the supplier. Now, mind you, if a supplier has a flag, it increases the supplier's risk. Okay, so that's what it does. So you see, the risk was 0 here, the risk was 20 here. Now that we've recorded the flag, if we go to the supplier, we'll find out that the supplier's risk is not so good. So we have a 60% risk. So there was a flag, and the flag was a shortage. So the risk has increased. If the supplier starts doing better, then the risk starts to reduce. If the supplier is trusted with more items, the risk will also reduce. But if you see a supplier with high risk, especially, I mean, this is your first time, and see all the issues. Let's say these are all because of issues. I mean, you should run away from this kind of supplier, right? Great. So let's move forward. So now that we have done the second supply, let's add the third one. And the third one, of course, it's not as if, for something like chicken now, when you're checking the weights, we're not saying that you should judge your suppliers and make them angry people. Okay, so 2 kg, 1.9 is almost 2. 2.1 is as good as 2. In fact, you can make it excess if the supplier gave excess and approved the flag to say this supplier gave you a heavier piece of frozen chicken. Please and please don't say 1.9 is not enough and begin to cause problems for your suppliers. Please, I beg you, don't do that. So now just be nice. So when you come, you choose the supplier here. Okay. Now you want to set the quantity. So we have the store. Now this is no longer a dry matter. This is a frozen store matter. Okay. And the section for this is perishables. Okay. So now this is going to be 123, 100, and 003. Now the expiry date of this is okay, that's something we have to work on. The warning expiry dates, we have to make sure that it is less. Okay. So for this frozen chicken, we need to do something here. So this warning expiry days cannot be 60 days. It's gonna have to be like maybe 3 days. Okay. And then we're going to put the expiry days as 6 days. And that's because it is frozen chicken. You don't expect it to have been the old supply. So if you come here now, say first time stocking, choose this. You see the risk of the supplier, you should run. Mhm. So we choose frozen, we choose perishables as a section. Please note, anything you put in a section, you must bring it out of that same section when you are issuing. So we're going to do this 100 and we're going to do 003. Okay. For the next item, we're going to go like 101, 102, just like that. So this one now cannot be farther away. Okay. It needs to be expiring like, let's say it expires like next week. So we're going to choose our frozen chicken. And it's 2 kg we want. Please be nice. And then we're going to hit the add button. So when we do this, the 2 kg chicken is going to be added to the store. Now it is showing us a notification of items that are less. So you see now that for the 10 kg, we brought in only 8 items or so. So it's saying that we need 2 more because it's minimum of 10. For the chicken, we brought in only chicken of 2 kg, but we need 8 kg more. So it's prompting us so that we can go and buy more. So that's what it really does. Now remember the instruction in the last flag was to return the item. Yeah. So when the flag is approved, the item needs to be returned. Now that comment in the flag is just for the approval. But you can come here as admin and say, please return this these items. This return them. Let's say return them. And you drop a comment here. So anybody who's looking at this flag, who has seen this flag, is going to actually see that they have to please return them. Okay. So with this in place, we need to come and add returns. Choose the shortest flag. Choose the quantity in shortage. If it's from an issuance, we can select the issuance. The items are going to go back to the store where it was issued from. Otherwise, we just go ahead and set the return. Bingo. So we've recorded that these 2 items have been returned to the supplier. Okay. So if there's no supplier, it's just going to work with issuance. All right. So it's either it's returned to the supplier or it's returned to the store where it was issued from. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our first supply. So it's time for us to completely pay the supplier. Now, this supplier is going to have a lot of risk issues. Please don't worry about that. Just make sure you pay your suppliers in the right timing. So we're going to try to complete this payment now. And we'll say that payment was made today. And bingo. So we have our payment record, we have the supplies. So this brings us to the end of our first purchase of items for this product. So now let's move forward to the next step. The next step has to do with issuing. What we want to do now is that we have our chicken, but we want to send some bags of rice to the annex. We're not sending them to the warehouse. That's not for this video. We're sending them to the annex. So we're going to send some of the 50 kg rice and some of the 10 kg rice. So let's check the store. How many items? Okay, no. We can't send from the 10 kg because I think it's short. If we go to our inventory and we go to store items, we're going to see some shortage issues here. So these are not items that we should even touch. We need to buy more of such items. So that will teach you about that. Then this is going to show you how much more you need to buy. This is going to show you the weights. So you see this is 80 and it's basically like 80 kilograms. Okay, this is 2 kg because it's per kg. And this is 1,000 kilograms. Wow. Now the minimum needed here is 10. So I think what we want to do is that we want to move 5 bags of 50 kg brown rice. We want to move it to the annex. Okay. So let's go to the requisition now. We're going to create a requisition and call it move to annex. So we're going to choose our brown rice 50 kg. The quantity is 5. Okay. The comment here is okay, just for today or today's cooking. Okay. So I have my issuing station now. My issuing station is the HQ and my supply station is the annex because that's where it's going to be received. So when I click on add, it brings in the approval notification, but I usually like using this admin to do approvals. So the moment this is approved, since this is for issuing, I don't have to order anything or add any bill or payment. Because if I go ahead and do that, then I'll not be able to issue the items again. So I'm just going to need to come to supply menu here. And then I'm going to have to determine whether I want to use a dispatch or not. A dispatch allows me to put things in trucks. Maybe I want to send, I want to go with one of the bags by myself, and I want to send 4 in a truck. So I'm going to say that the issuing station for this is the HQ, and the supply station is the annex. Then I'm going to say this is our Mack truck, or let's say our Sienna. Okay, the company Sienna. Vehicle number 1023. Okay, or let's say Sienna vehicle number 1023. Then I add the dispatch. So here's the dispatch number. Then I want to do issuance. So now I want to go with one of the items because I'm going to go there tomorrow morning. Okay, so there's no need to put that one since or let me see how will I, okay, I'm going out now and I'm going there, so I want to go with one of them while I want the truck to carry the rest. Okay, so it's just a scenario. Let's say the truck is coming by 4 and I'm going there now. So let me carry one because I can carry one. So I'm going to do my issuing at HQ, choose the requisition, move to annex. Now what I'm moving is a dry item and it's from the dry store. It is non-perishable. And then I need to scan the proper item. That's the most important aspect of everything. When you are issuing, you need to find the items according to their batches. The batch numbers are serial. So you need to, if it's first in, first out, you need to follow the batch numbers first in, first out. So the batch numbers help you to identify which one came in first and which one came in last. So since we are working with first in, first out, as you see in the store, let me just show you in the store. Or so you see, this is a first in, first out affair. Okay, this one, no, this is in the global items. Yeah, first in, first out for 50 kg. So you see FIFO. So that means you have to work it out from there. So let's do our issuance. We're issuing the one that's, so I'm going to have to bring out from the first one. So that's how you reason it. So if I want to take it today, take one today, I'm taking from the first batch. I can't take the last one. The system wouldn't allow me. So I'm using move to annex. I'm using dry, non-perishables. Now 50 kg rice, I think we started with it. So let's see if we can still remember this number. So this is 123 100 001. If it is correct, it's going to come out. Yes, it came out. If it's not correct, it wouldn't come out. Like for instance, if I come here and I put 2, for instance, it changes to 10 kg. If I choose this, it disappears. So you have to use the correct number to be able to get the correct item. If I even do 3, it's not going to give me anything because that item, that chicken is not in non-perishables. The chicken is in perishables. And you fill the form from top to bottom. Don't go and change something at the top and expect it to change. Anything you change at the top, you must come and enter this reference again. For instance, if I come here and change this to perishables, it's not going to bring up this item. I'm going to have to come here and make sure that it is frozen, and it's still not going to bring up the item. I'm going to have to change it and change it again before it will bring up the frozen chicken. So I'm just trying to show you how to fill this form. But for now, we're dealing with the rice. So now that we've changed this, we also need to change this. So we have our 50 kg rice, and we wanted to move only 5 bags, but I wanted to carry one of the bags because I'm going there right now. So I'm going to issue without dispatch. And when I add this, the item is issued out. Then I come again from the issuing station, I choose move to annex. And then I come here and I say this is dry. The system already remembers what I did before. And then this one is going through that Mack truck. So I'm going to pick from the same batch, which is 123 100 001. And then I'm going to select the quantity, which is 4. And then I'm going to put it in the truck. Now, the disadvantage of using dispatch, or let me not call it a disadvantage, it's also a very good benefit. The benefit of using dispatch is that for dispatch, the items have to be received in the dispatch before you can receive the supply. So this one that I came with now in my car, I have arrived at the place now, and I'm trying to supply it. So I'm going to go to Annex to try to supply this. I'm going to choose Move to Annex. There is no supplier bill in this case because it's an issuance. And then I'm going to come to the store. Now, which store do I want to put this? Is in the drawing store. Which section do I want to put this? Section is not compulsory if you didn't configure it, but if you use it, you must use it all through. So the moment you receive in a section, you must move items from that same section. Now, this is non-perishables. Okay. Then you are now going to receive this item. Now, the item can have the same reference as long as it is the same item. Because if you don't use the correct reference, for this case now, the reference can be anything. You can change the reference, but if the expiry date is wrong, it's not going to work. So the reference can be the same, the reference can be different, but the expiry date has to be correct. What am I saying? The reference actually has to be the same because it's the item you are issuing. So when you're issuing an item, you have to make sure that the reference is correct. Otherwise, it's not going to find any item with that particular reference. So the reference follows the item everywhere. So now let's go. Let's say the expiry dates for this, I think it was 31st August. Now, if you are wrong about any of these, about the item reference, the store, the section, if you are wrong about any of these, when you select the item, you're not going to get the unit price. So if I choose this 50 kg, the unit price comes up, it means I am correct. Now let's try to be incorrect. Let's choose a wrong ID and choose 50 kg rice. So you find out that the unit price is 0. That means it didn't find it. Okay, and even if you cannot have an item that the price is 0 anyway. So there must be a positive number for price. Okay, so we have to correct this first. Then after correcting this, we need to make sure the expiry date is correct. Remove the global item and choose it again so that it's going to pick the unit price. So then we can put in the quantity that we want to receive. Now, the issue is when we want to receive the supply, because it is the same item, we will not be able to receive everything until that other cargo comes. So let's try and pick this now because it's from the same batch, and items from the same batch, we must receive them all together. So if we say we want to receive only one item, this is what is going to happen. It's going to say that the dispatch must be received. Okay, even if it's the one that I came with. If you want to receive the 5 items, it's the same issue. So we're going to have to go to this dispatch now and mark it as received. So you see, this is one of the things about using dispatch. If you use dispatch from the same batch, the system is going to force you to receive the dispatch. You can change the status to in transit, but it ought to have been received with a date and time set for it before you can receive the supply. So don't use dispatch in a batch if you know you're going to separate stuff. Make sure that you use it for different batches so that you don't have this kind of problem. So if we come here now, the receiving station is annex, registration is moved to annex, there's no supplier bill, and then we go to the store. This is for dry. The section is non-perishables. Now these two are optional things, but then when you come to this point, you have to put the right item reference 001 and then put the right expiry date. If the expiry date is wrong, it's not going to work. Okay, so then we can then put the rice of 50 kg and then we have quantity. Now we can receive only one or receive 5 of them, but if we receive only one, it's going to say shortage. So let's try and receive only one now, and it's going to complain about shortage because it doesn't separate the issuers. So you see, it's saying shortage. So you have to make sure that all the items in the batch that you sent have come. So we're going to come here and correct it to 5 and then do updates. And then the items are going to be in the annex store. So you see now our rice has gone to the annex store. Now the system is complaining now that the inventory in the annex store is low because this is the annex store now 1004. That's what we just brought in, the 5 items. So we need 5 more items. So we have 250 kg here, we have 750 kg here. So we need to buy more items in this store and this other store here. Okay. So we can identify the store here. So we have this store, this store. We have 3 stores to buy items. One is in the HQ, no, 2 are in the HQ and 1 is in the annex. So this is how this works. And thank you so much for watching. I hope that this helps your business and you understand it a whole lot better even after now. Goodbye.